roomies, I'm Jasmine Emerald, and today I'm bringing to you guys a KFC mukbang. And this is gonna be my first time trying the KFC nuggets. I'm kind of, not a car driving class, but anyways, I'm kind of disappointed because I thought the nuggets would be much bigger than this. But yeah, they're not that freaking big. It's so tiny. Look how little it is in comparison to my phone. It's so little. But yeah, this is gonna be my first time trying the nuggets. Also gonna be my first time trying honey mustard ever in my life, because don't get me wrong, I like mustard, but I've never had mustard with actual meat before. I don't think I've ever had honey mustard before in my life. And then I also have honey barbecue. I don't remember what honey barbecue tastes like with KFC, because if you guys saw my other KFC mukbang, yeah, I haven't had KFC in the longest. I feel like this is not 8 nuggets, but anyways. God is great, God is good. Let's thank him for our food, by y'all. Thank you all for day by nature, you pray, amen. They're okay. I'm gonna dip it in the honey mustard. That's pretty good. So I do have some topics to talk about today, but of course, as y'all know, I have to eat first, otherwise I get full quick. The fries are pretty good. The honey barbecue is okay. People doing the most. I'm sorry, y'all, if y'all could hear that. The honey mustard tastes better though. I don't know why I start thinking about other stuff and I'll completely forget if I actually said something. These taste really salty for some reason to me. I don't know. I said this before, like, it's like my palate changing the older I get. Like my fiance and I, we were talking about that this weekend, where we'll taste something and it's like, why does it taste sweeter? Why does it taste saltier? I don't know what that is, but I don't like it. There you go. That's the way my dog just looked up like, girl, you trying to share? I'm definitely gonna have to get honey mustard again though. Like out of KFC sauces, I think I would do honey mustard, then the KFC sauce, and then ranch, and then the honey barbecue. This sauce is so good. Oh, I got buffalo ranch too. I might have to try that too. I don't know why my neck been hurting me. Alright, let me drink something and then I'll hop into the discussions. The first question is, how do people make friends on the internet? So for me personally, I make acquaintances, and then there are some people that I consistently talk to on a regular basis. I honestly feel like Twitter is one of the easiest places to like communicate and build bonds with people. So what I did, and no, everybody doesn't have to do this, but for me, I started off having Twitter when I was younger, like in 2009, and then I would close my Twitter and then open a new one, restart it, refresh it. Now, I started a new Twitter account, I believe in either 2017 or 2018. And my primary goal originally was to connect with people who enjoyed shows that I liked and movies that I was interested in. So what I did was I typed in a search engine certain shows, and then I would just follow those people who were talking about it. And what ended up happening was I ended up doing that for a while. Like, I can't remember what the limit was or how many people you could follow. But I know I had my Twitter account for a minute before I did it, because sometimes they'll mark you as spam. But yeah, I started a Twitter account, and then a couple months later, I just started following a whole bunch of people and just talking about different things, like different things in social media, you know, sharing an occasional selfie, stuff like that. And I would interact with other people's threads sometimes. And sometimes other people would interact with me. And I don't know what happened, like, over a period of time, I ended up building a little community on Twitter, and it's pretty cool because now, originally, the people that I followed, we would be talking about different anime shows or different Marvel or DC comic movies, and then eventually we would start talking about other stuff like food and recipes, or like dating advice, or different things trending in social media. And now I talk to those people about whatever, and it's pretty cool. And some of the people, not too many, but there are a few people I did end up meeting in real life later that live in my state, which is pretty nice. But yeah, it's pretty cool to just be able to do that. Now, I don't know about actually, no, I have made some associates and friendships on Facebook as well. So, for example, this has happened to me a couple of times where, like, at one point in time when I was younger, I would just accept anybody into my Facebook. And I would just, you know, if somebody friend requested me, I would accept them, or I would send out friend requests and people would accept me. They didn't even know me. And now, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes people will be talking to me and I'm like, who is this person? Sometimes I have to remove people now because I'm so much older now. My mindset is completely different. But now it's like, well, not now, but in the past, sometimes I would make statuses. I'm not active on Facebook anymore though. Sometimes I'll lurk in Facebook groups and stuff, but that's about it. But now it's like people, well, not now, but back in the day, what would happen is I would make statuses and other people would make statuses, and we would comment on each other's statuses. And sometimes me or another woman, we would just slide into each other's DMs like, hey, you seem pretty cool, wanna hang out? And I think that's happened to me twice, either 2 or 3 times. That's happened to me where I would hang out with someone and it would be fun and we would have a good time, but I feel like on my part it would fall through where I wouldn't keep up with talking with them because I'm not a social person in general. But every now and then I had these moments where I'll be like, yeah, you know, it'd be cool to hang out, and it would always be a good time. But I feel like it's not that difficult to make to make at least acquaintances you could hang out with online, and if you want to maintain bonds, you can. I just feel like you gotta find people that are interested in the things that you like, and also make sure you check out their background so that they're not crazy or like a stalker or something, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be diligent about who that person is. Make sure you see them in public areas. Although I will say I probably felt more comfortable hanging out with some of those people because I knew them, like I've seen them before in real life. I feel like it would be rare for me to actually interact with somebody in reality that I've never met before now, just because I'm real hesitant about people nowadays, to be honest. Like, you would have to know somebody that I knew and had known them for some years, to be honest, and had a good rapport with them. But yeah, that's something you could do. Just, you know, you could either look up mutual friends of people on Facebook, and just befriend them, and then, you know, you just never know what could happen that way. But I feel like you have to actually put yourself out there, like talk about different things, talk to people, interact with people, because people just don't get me wrong, sometimes people will show up, but you do have to be hesitant of people just being like, yeah, you know, let's hang out, because you just don't know. But I think it's not as hard as people might think it is. But I will say it would be good to do things involved with interests that you already like. That way it's not that bad. You know, it's not that difficult when you take time to interact with others about stuff that you enjoy, or if you guys have similar thought processes on things. So the next topic is an unpopular opinion. Someone said most people who say they are introverted aren't, they just haven't learned how to socialize. So I completely agree with this. I have met a lot of people who have claimed to be introverted. And the thing is this conversation would always come up because someone would ask me why I was not as sociable. And I would express to them, like, yeah, I'm actually an introvert. You know, I like to keep to myself. I like to entertain myself. Other people can be very draining. It's a lot to deal with. And my social battery drains very quickly unless, like, if I'm around people that I know, my social battery does not drain as quickly because I'm comfortable with them. I understand how they are. You know, it's not as much to deal with. But if I'm dealing with people that I don't know, you might got an hour or two max with me because there's too much going on. And it also depends on how much stuff is going on, how many people are going on, like how much interaction I have to put out. It's a lot. It's a variety of different things that contribute to my introversion. And, you know, whenever I would have conversations with some people would be like, yeah, I'm the same way. Or they would be like, yeah, I'm an introvert too. I don't like being around people either. Now, for me, it's not necessarily I don't like being around people. It's just the fact that, like I said, people are draining. It can be a lot of energy that I have to put out, and I get tired interacting with people like that constantly, especially if I have to entertain them. You know what I mean? But some of these people would say that they were introverts too. And some people, I didn't know. I didn't know if they were really introverted or not. I'm just like, I'm going to take your word for it because that's what you told me. Whereas other people I've met and they've said that they were introverted, and I would just be like, no, you're not. Now, there's those people that I mentioned before, over time, you know, of them telling me like, yeah, I'm an introvert, over time I would see their interactions with people, see the stuff that would happen over the course of time, and I would realize, like with the people that I actually know that claim to be introvert, a lot of times people will claim to be introverted, and the issue is not necessarily that they're introverted, especially because of how often they would contact me. And I know that sounds so bad, but like, I'm like, if you contacted me consistently and contacting other people, or you being like real, I don't want to say needy, but if you like, I want to talk all the time, to me it's giving you not really introverted, you extroverted. And especially if it's not just with me, it's with other people. I see it happen all the time. You want to do this, you want to do that, you need somebody to be with you, you know, because I'm like, I explained how I am and you not getting it, or people would get mad at me about wanting time to myself, and I'm just like, it's not really giving that you're an introvert. But I would also realize that within that, I would notice the interactions they would have with other people where they would end up falling out with people. And it wasn't because of their claims of what they claim to be. It would be more so because, I'm not gonna lie, like, the emotional intelligence would be lacking with some of these people. And I know that sounds awful, but I feel like a lot of people who claim to be more to themselves, it's not necessarily by choice. It's because they don't know how to, like the unpopular opinion said, they don't know how to interact with people. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to effectively listen, read the room. They don't know how to understand people and comprehend people where they're actually thinking about others. A lot of times people that I've seen that are like this would have self-absorbed tendencies, and they would not know how to navigate everyday life within those interactions of just communicating, talking with people, and they would rub people the wrong way. Like, I remember it was this one girl I used to be cool with, and she told me, like, I'm like, I've known you for years, and she used to get mad at me sometimes when I would, like, disappear and stuff like that. But I'm like, you know, unless something is really pressing, I don't want to talk about the same stuff every day. I'm not gonna hold you. But I'm like, you know, plus it was the fact that she wanted to talk about guys all the time, and I'm not gonna hold you. I'm one of those people where I do not like hearing about the same stuff every single day, every single week. And she would talk about the same stuff every single day, 4 months. 4 months. And it would be just drama filled 4 months. And I didn't like stuff like that. So I would just be like, well, I don't have to be present for this. Like, it's our other friends can talk to you about this, but she would get mad at me because I wasn't there. And I'm like, you don't listen to me anyway, so I don't understand why I'm here. You know what I mean? But I remember one day we were talking, and I was explaining to her and the other girls, I'm like, yeah, I'm an introvert, so, you know, like, I'll be there if you really need me for something, but, you know, if something negative or if it's a lot of interacting, I don't want to be around because I get tired. And yeah, I just like keep it to myself. And she ended up saying, like, yeah, I'm the same way. I'm like, bro, no, you don't, because you be the main one starting these conversations. I'm like, you know, it's nothing wrong with being extrovert, but I'm like, why are you saying like you are, but you're not? You know, it's like you want to interact with people, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I do feel like a lot of people who say that they're not introverted or alone by choice is because of, like I said, the way they move, the way they navigate everyday life and talking to people. They don't understand how to assess the situation and address it in a way that is responsible and considerate to others. Now, some people will disagree, but I feel like the people that would disagree are people that are not necessarily introverted. So the other unpopular opinion is soup is not a full meal. So they said, my fiance keeps saying she wants soup for dinner, and I feel like it's not enough food to be considered a full meal. We can't seem to agree on this topic because she thinks I'm in the minority on this. And I feel like soup is more considered a side dish or something just to get you by until you eat your meal. So this is the thing. The majority will probably say that soup is not a meal. The majority. Now this, you know, it's a variety of ways you could look at this, because some people think of ramen as soup. Some people think as vegetable soup with a whole bunch of stuff in it, veggies. It could be filled up to the brim with vegetables and stuff. And then you have the liquid base. Now, me personally, I feel like soup is a meal. And mainly I say this because if you guys have noticed, like, I don't know, like, if you guys watch my channel consistently or if you're new here, I do not drink anything until I am done eating or unless I'm choking. I do not drink anything until I'm done because drinking fills me up. And for example, when you go to restaurants and when they give you the option of like soup and salad and stuff like that, I have to be very careful about what I eat before my meal. Otherwise, I'm going to be taking most of my meal home. Like, I cannot do all of these different things, especially because it's so spaced out when they serve your meals. It's like you'll get done eating you're drinking your soup and 10 minutes will be done past. Then they finally bring out, your meal. And it's like, dang, I done had drinks, I done had bread, I done had soup, and it's been 30 minutes. And now my stomach just filled up because the bread soaking up the soup and the drink that I just had. So it's like, I'm full now. But that's how my body is. But I feel like soup can be a meal. It just really depends on the person. I feel like people don't understand you can fill up on liquid heavily. But I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna force nobody to eat if they just say they want soup. And plus, soup is just good sometimes. Like, if you having a down day where you feel like you don't want to eat nothing heavy, or if you're not feeling well, it makes you feel good to just have something sitting warm in your stomach sometimes. But I personally think that soup can be a meal. What do y'all think? Do y'all think soup can be a meal? Let me know in the comments down below. So this person said, should I go look for love or let it find me? Now, from experience, I would say never look for love. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I'm not going to say there's somebody for everybody because a part of me feels like that is a complete lie. And the only reason why I say that a part of me feels like that is a complete lie is because I personally don't believe in soulmates, because I feel like if people actually did have soulmates, everybody would be with somebody. That's just me. I feel like everybody would have somebody. They would be together. They would die together. Whoop, whoop. You know what I'm saying? But I honestly believe that there are multiple different people that you could be with, that you come across with in everyday life, throughout life, that could have the potential to be your person. Now, whether y'all act on it, whether y'all go through with it, whether y'all in the right headspace for it, that's completely different. Like, I've explained to so many people, you could go to pick up your coffee, and a person that's a potential person that could be with you could be standing right behind you or 2 spots behind you in line. It's like, it's just the matter of, I guess putting yourself out there. Not to say that, you should just go to a coffee shop, see somebody and be like, you want to go on a date? You know what I mean? Like, it'll happen naturally, obviously, I feel like. But, if you see somebody, you find them attractive, speak on it. But I don't think you should force the concept of looking for love, because one thing I'm going to tell you, just from experience, I was looking for love for years. Like, I had this issue where I wanted to be in a relationship so bad, and I would get in some relationships and I would talk to some people, but they would be the wrong people for me. And some of those people, it was just the factor that we were just young, and they made bad choices because they were young, and people live, they learn, or whatever. But I do feel like when you look for love, you gonna get the wrong stuff. You gonna think it's love potentially, and it's gonna be something else because you're clinging to this hope. You're focused on this need to satisfy this yearning of having love in your life, and I feel like you have to be very careful about that. And this about to sound real cliche, but the moment I stopped looking for love was when I actually ended up talking to my fiance, and we started hanging out and going out, and then we ended up realizing, oh, there could be something between us. and now we're engaged. But I will say, and a lot of people say that too, where they're like, the moment you stop looking for love is when you find someone. Now, I don't necessarily want to say that is completely true, because I feel like a lot of people will say, yeah, I wasn't looking for love, or I'm not looking for love and it hasn't found me, because it's like, I feel like a lot of people still be looking. It's just the fact that they're not doing anything at the moment, or they're still messing around with other people. And the thing that I want y'all to understand too is like, a lot of people be in situationships or be pining after people that aren't a good fit for them, and they're not being realistic, and they're not being honest about things. And then there's also the factor that there are some people who don't even leave the house. There's some people that don't put themselves in positions and in places and in spots where they can meet people. So it's like, how are you going to meet somebody if you don't socialize, if you don't go out, if you don't put yourself in positions where you could potentially meet somebody? You know what I'm saying? It's like, if you stuck at home pining over having love, if you only go to work pining over having love, if you always distracted by different things, you won't really get the chance to be exposed to potential possibilities of relationships, you know? And I know some people talk about relocating and stuff like that. And I mean, you can, but if you're going to meet somebody, you're going to meet somebody. And if you're not, you're not. And that sounds so just horrible. But again, I think it's just really about placement and about being aware. Because another thing, I have seen people in real time where I would catch people looking at people that I know and checking them out, and they would be completely oblivious, of completely not paying attention because they're focused on somebody else. Or they'll turn people down because of certain things. Like, for example, I know someone who turned a guy down, right? Keep in mind, she is around like 5'2", yeah? 5'2", 5'3". But she basically turned somebody down because they weren't 6 feet. But the guy was still 5'8". He was still taller than her. So it's like, you really writing people off that could be great people because you have these high standards that aren't really good standards. You know what I mean? It's like, in my opinion, it's not really a good standard. It's like, you're short. They're still going to be taller than you. So why is this such a requirement? You know, it's like you could end up being with a horrible person that's 6 feet tall versus being with someone that's 5 feet. I mean, not 5 feet, I'm so sorry. 5'8", and they're like a good person, you know? That's another thing too. People have certain standards that don't make sense to me. I remember it was this video going viral on TikTok, and it was some radio station, and they were talking to this girl and the guy that she went on a date with, they were both on the line, and they went on the first date. They only went on one date. And the host, they were trying to get to the bottom of why the girl didn't want to go on a second date with the guy. And she pretty much expressed that the reason that she didn't want to go on a second date with the guy was because they had ordered nachos or something like that, and the waiter asked, like, do you want guacamole? And the guy asked, like, how much is it? And they were like, an extra $2.50 or something like that. And he was like, no, never mind, I don't want it. And the girl expressed that, and she was getting real big mad and upset. But she was expressing that the reason why she didn't want to talk to him again was because he didn't want to get the $2.50 guacamole. And it was so insane because the other hosts that were on the radio, they were just sitting there like, wait, what? And you ended up realizing as the girl kept talking that she probably had bad experience in the past with somebody who did not have money to like do things with her or for her. And it seemed like she had some personal issues relating to finance, like with dating guys and stuff like that. And the guy was just sitting there like, you really didn't want to talk to me because I didn't spend $250 on guacamole. And she started expressing, yeah, I want to be with a guy who can just live in the moment, and not really be thinking about just being so stuck up and so uppity about having a $250 guacamole with his nachos. And it was just like, he was like, but I just said I didn't want them. She was like, I know, but it was like you were saying that, like you didn't want to spend it, like you couldn't just live in the moment. And it was just like, it was such a reach the way she was explaining it. But it's like, people like that, people will have standards like that. And also, over the course of her expressing this, you ended up realizing that she slightly was a gold digger. And because the guy, and she didn't know much about the guy, they didn't discuss too much about their personal lives, but they did talk. And she ended up realizing, as she was talking on the radio show, that the guy actually had a good job. He had decent money, but he was just frugal. He or not necessarily frugal, but he was just like $250 on some guacamole when I got a jar at home. You know what I mean? And pretty much, as she ended up learning about how much he had, like what his worth was, she was like, well, I guess I could give you another try. And he like, nah, I'm good. And I'm like, bet, as you should. Or at least that's how I remember the conversation going. That was a while ago, of that little TikTok video. But yeah, I was just like, yeah, it was giving gold digger. Like, it went from being kind of like, wow, where it was like, damn, you just dropped him because he didn't want the guac. And then I was like, okay, so you got personal issues that you had with previous exes and previous experiences. And then it jumped to, no, you're a gold digger. And you equated him not spending $250 on some guacamole as to him not having any money. But I will say, sometimes high standards be getting people messed up. Like, it's one thing to have actual standards, like, you don't want to be treated badly, someone needs to respect you, someone should have, a car to get from place to place, or be able to afford to spend money to get from place to place and not rely on you. But it's another thing to have standards like, this person need to be 6'4" and I'm 5 foot, or this person needs to, be able to afford to take me out and buy me these types of gifts, yet you can't afford to buy these types of gifts or take yourself out to them either. You know what I mean? Like, I remember I was watching this YouTuber this past weekend, and she was explaining a story time of what experience happened to her, where a guy kept pursuing her and kept trying to buy her stuff. And the guy pretty much asked her how much did it cost for her to get her nails done. And the guy kept pushing and asking. She was like, don't worry about it. And then finally he pushed a bit too hard, and she was like, well, I spend this amount to get my nails done, and this is what I pay for it on a monthly basis. And the guy pretty much was like, that's too much. And she was just sitting there like, and it was like the guy was trying to convince her that she was like, that was too much for her to be spending on her nails. And she was just looking at him like, first off, I didn't even ask you to spend money on me. This is what I pay on my own to maintain me, and you're getting upset about how I spend my money. And it was just really wild and crazy. But it's like, again, like, if you have certain standards for yourself, I can understand if you have certain standards to maintain. And if somebody is being like that, where they're like, yeah, I want to maintain you, and then when they find out, your maintenance costs, it's like, oh, it's a big problem. But it's like, if you're going to talk to somebody that has higher maintenance costs, you need to present high maintenance cost money, in my opinion. or you should be with someone that's not as high maintenance, you know. But when it comes to finding love and stuff, like I said, having high standards won't get you anywhere. Not going out will get you nowhere. Not taking the time to really put yourself out there, interact, socialize. If you're standoffish and you keep to yourself the whole time, it's going to be very difficult for you to meet anybody. And honestly, I feel like people should put themselves out there just to get out of your comfort zone, because you just never know who you can meet, what situations, what memories you can make in life. If you're always to yourself, there's almost no growth sometimes. Like, even with me, I don't really like putting myself out there too much, but I still put myself out there to communicate with other people online at the very least, you know, because you just never know. You never know what connections you could form. You never know what something could spark. Shoot, you could make a connection with somebody and their brother or one of their friends could be the person you could potentially be with. You just never know. You just never know. But that's just my little spiel. Don't search for love, but do put yourself out there. And just enjoy life, have fun. And one thing I will say, it's something about enjoying life that makes you more attractive. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand that, but I know even with me, when I would look for love, it was given kind of needy, desperate. But when I was actually enjoying myself and having a good time, people would approach me and they would be like, you look so good, having fun, like, can I take you out? Like, people would approach me like that back in the day. So it's like, when you in your element, just enjoying yourself, having a good time living, people will notice that. Like, people will notice that and they'll be like, I like her energy. I like her vibe. I like his vibe. They look like they're having a good time. But that's just my perspective. And it's also what I've noticed as well. Just about people, because even I can pick up on other people's energy where, like, I'll see them having a good time and I'm like, they're putting out some good energy. Like, they're probably going to pick up some chicks or they're probably going to pick up some men, you know? It's like you can actually feel the vibes off people, and I feel like that's important too. But if you're being needy, or if you're being too and if you're not just living presently, like, I understand, because I'm an overthinker, but the older I get, the more I realize it's okay to just live in the moment and just embrace everything and take everything as it is. I'm more so learning about, like, accepting things. But yeah, just take your time, take baby steps to put yourself out there, to try new things, experience life, and you just never know who you can meet that way. But never go looking for love, because girl, it's gonna end up putting you in situationships. It's gonna waste your time, potentially cost you money, like potentially, lead you into, like, stress, health issues. You just never know. So just live in the moment, but don't force anything. But yeah, let me know what you guys' topics are. What you guys' thoughts were about any of these topics that I talked about today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you check out my other mukbangs that will be linked down below, as well as somewhere over here on the screen. But stay blessed, stay positive, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.